In the delicate theatre of Middle Eastern politics, two things are in short supply: time and clarity. And as Iran accelerates its nuclear program and the United States returns to this posture of belligerence under Donald Trump, one voice in the West has emerged with rare lucidity, and that's President Emmanuel Macron. And while the French president may not be universally loved, he has on this occasion earned the title of statesman, convening an extraordinary meeting of ministers and experts at the Élysée Palace to address what he and his foreign minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, have both called an almost inevitable military confrontation if diplomacy fails, and this on the same day that Trump was posturing about tariffs. The threat is real. Since Trump unilaterally pulled the US out of the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran has ramped up uranium enrichment to levels dangerously close to weapons grade. And despite protestations that it seeks only civilian nuclear energy, Iran's actions tell a different story. And the international community is rightly alarmed. European powers, especially France, Britain and Germany, are racing against an October 2025 deadline, after which UN sanctions expire. And Macron's diplomatic efforts, therefore, are not some idealistic indulgence, but a rational necessity to prevent escalation. And as Barrot stated before the French Parliament, the window of opportunity is narrow. Failure will mean war. Rarely do we hear such directness in foreign policy. And contrast this with Donald Trump. While he boasts that he can end international conflicts in 24 hours, his behaviour suggests a man more interested in domination than diplomacy. His threats to bomb Iran if it doesn't make a deal, combined with secondary tariff warnings against Russia, betray not strategic genius, but a fixation on personal grandeur. And his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been dispatched not to negotiate, but to translate the president's belligerence into something intelligible. In an interview with Tucker Carlson, Witkoff even attempted to walk back Trump's threats, suggesting instead that Trump seeks a deal with verification. It was, in effect, damage control masquerading as policy. But such attempts cannot conceal the fundamental incoherence of Trump's approach. His letter to the Ayatollah Khamenei on March the 5th, reportedly veiled in threats disguised as offers of peace, is a perfect encapsulation. Either accept our terms or prepare for destruction. That isn't diplomacy, that's theatrical brinkmanship. And it's here that Macron's quiet diplomacy shines. While Trump shouts, Macron listens. His convening of the National Security Council, a rare move, is an attempt to unite Europe behind a coherent preventative strategy. And France has been clear. Iran must return to talks, and if it does not, Europe will act, diplomatically first, militarily if compelled. And Macron is not indulging in fantasy. He recognises that the Biden administration and now Trump's return cannot be relied on to speak consistently. It hasn't spoken consistently for a good 3 or 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, since Trump was last in office. And yet Macron's clarity also reflects hard choices that should have been taken on a broader stage. Hard choices, frankly, that Biden should have taken. If Trump's stupidity in stopping those that relationship between the US and Iran was wrong, then Biden should have restored it. He didn't. Macron knows that Israel may act unilaterally and soon, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, embattled at home, determined to eliminate Iran's nuclear capability, may not wait for multilateral consensus. The paradox is that while Netanyahu courts Trump's favour, he cannot rely on Trump's temperament. Indeed, Netanyahu's government, already deeply divided and facing public dissent, may view a strike on Iran as a unifying act. But this could be disastrous. A 3-front war in Gaza, Lebanon and potentially Syria, combined with a direct strike on Iran, could ignite a regional inferno. And if Israeli hostages are killed in the process, Netanyahu's government will fall. Moreover, Trump's preference for appearing strong might compel him to support or even escalate such action, not for strategic gain, but to avoid looking weak. This is the danger of ego-based foreign policy. It turns negotiations into personal feuds and alliances into transactional theatre. We're at a crossroads. Iran remains a threat not only because of its nuclear ambitions, but because of its regional or because of the regional instability that it foments in Russia, in Israel, across the Middle East. Trump's erratic approach has only exacerbated tension, turning America's global role into a guessing game. And in this dangerous vacuum steps Emmanuel Macron, clear-eyed, deliberate, and realistic. His insistence on diplomacy, his warnings about imminent conflict, his efforts to coordinate with Britain, with Germany, and even reluctant American officials suggest a model of statesmanship that the world badly needs. We must hope that his clarity is contagious, because if not, then as Macron warned, the next chapter in this global drama will not be negotiation, it will be war.